All right. Reading today from the book, The Mysteries of Nutrition, Life-Changing Ideas to Heal the Body. The chapter, Making It Better, which discusses some ideas for the home and other ideas as well for gardening. There's a bunch of things in there. So, mixed bag. So I'll go ahead and read. So, heal the home from electromagnetic frequency pollution, EMF. Electromagnetic frequency pollution is caused by four major factors: dirty electricity from appliances, smart meters, wiring, etc., in one home and shared between surrounding homes. 2. Magnetic wave arcing, created by bad wiring and unintelligently grounded water pipes or magnetic frequency emission sources. 3. RF frequencies from Wi-Fi, portable phones, cell phones, smart meters, non-Ethernet TVs, cell towers, neighbors' transmissions, etc. 4. Electrical waves caused by devices and electricity which ideally is quite close to the source device or wiring and thus easier to avoid, yet also easier to overlook. While many of us cannot totally avoid the 4G towers built around us, nor can we block out 100% of the effects of the new 5G Internet of Things, which is for now only an enhanced 4G bandwidth, we can still improve our situation by 90% and raise awareness. To be fair, we also appreciate some of these services, especially the military, defense. We must seek to tame these technologies to get them down to the right size, not pulsing beyond their reach, or transition to safer alternatives such as GSM tower to fiber optic user end, with a few towers in an isolated area in each city. Interesting fact, the only full and true 5G rollout in China, which means tens of thousands of micro antennas using high frequency waves in a grid formation, was also the origin of the coronavirus outbreak. This is interesting because studies have shown that a full 5G rollout, not the 5G in name only marketed rollout in the USA, which is actually just a variation on the 4G low to mid frequencies, causes flu-like symptoms. Coronavirus is no worse than an intense flu, and like the flu, usually only harms the elderly and the immunodeficient, and only for 1.5 years on average, parentheses, SARS, MERS, etc. Most of the deaths came from nursing homes, and most of these were concentrated in a few politically controlled areas. Multi-cycle PRC and antibody testing are ridiculous ways to generate high case numbers while totally ignoring Koch's postulates on infectious organisms. It is the fake virology paradigm. We have lost faith in our immune system at the behest of Big Pharma. Remember, viruses, non-living, are not contagious, but are solvents employed by cells to clean out toxins from a toxic environment, parentheses, exosomes. And that is why so many seem to infect each other. However, bacterial living strains are contagious. In a hoax pandemic, one should fear the vaccine or injections proposed more than facing the disease with their own immune system. A few may die out, but overall immunity, true and natural human immunity, will be won and keep us from pandemic fear syndrome, which will harm much more than a few and the Bill of Rights. It is a more sober way to live. Keep in mind that if any group of soldiers, doctors, or other groups were to be forced into vaccinations, that dangerous bacterial strains purposefully added to a small percentage of vaccines to avoid mass detection could be injected. These bacteria could then spread through the population via the small percentage of initial survivors who qualify as non-susceptible to the given strain. A population of migrants could even have been experimented on to create such unsusceptible cloud carriers. Many of this same group will have died without report to sift out the non-affected during Black Ops military projects, as was done by the Rockefeller Foundation during the Spanish flu era. Of course, any sizable army of such carriers can only be possible to release onto the public in a time of confusion, panic, war, or a so-called hoax virus pandemic. So one must be sharp to those forces, foreign and domestic, who seek to gain from such a fallout. For cell phones, the best advice is to simply turn them off completely when they are in your pocket. Turn them back on to check your messages or calls, but only when they are no longer near your body. Buy a non-traceable EMF technology pouch for your cell phone. Restrict phone calls and get a landline phone for the home or office, and especially for kids. Cell phone EMFs create imbalances and a thickening of the blood via coagulation of the glycoproteins in the blood. They should be used with caution. Many of us think our life will stop if we only activate our phones sporadically throughout the day, but this is one of the easier changes to make. For Wi-Fi, it is a good idea to consider why many German elementary schools have banned Wi-Fi, preferring to use fiber optic cable and desktops instead. For your home, make sure to turn off the Wi-Fi of your router and other appliances and computers and instead run a long Ethernet cable to your computer and USB cables in the case of Wi-Fi printers or the like. You may also purchase a small grilled cage to house the Wi-Fi router to reduce by 70% its signal while still being able to surf online. However, the best system by far is to run everything by cable Ethernet and disactivate the Wi-Fi from the router's configuration panel, which can be found at its specific IP address. Some homes are equipped with the more optimal fiber optic cabling. If you must have Wi-Fi, unplugging the unit or buying an inexpensive socket timer which shuts off the plug at night is the bare minimum. A bed canopy made from 20% real silver thread can block up to 90% of EMF pollution while you sleep. This is the most important purchase as we recover at night. This canopy should also be grounded with the ground plug to reduce the electrical loading of the canopy from surrounding power sources. It may cost you about $1,000, but it will last for 20 years. If people live below you, you will need to purchase a shielding mat to put under the bed so that the canopy is not penetrated from below. All of these items can be integrated stylishly or put under rugs in the case of the mat. No one will even know that you are using EMF protection, as the canopy looks like an elegant mosquito net or bed decoration. EMF protection is based on a simple principle: reflection. Threading woven with reflective metals, or better yet silver, reflects the EMF signals back. Highly reflective opaque solutions, such as thick aluminum foil layers in your walls, silver-threaded curtains, reflective paint, lead sheets, parentheses, these only work for ionizing radiation, not magnetic waves, or other full protection setups can discreetly secure the home. Some may prefer more portable alternatives, such as EMF clothing. Of course, protection from these non-opaque solutions is never at 100%. Any transparency leads to greater penetration. But on the other hand, transparent solutions also lead to more integration into society. One can protect oneself discreetly within societal norms. Who wants to be caught wearing a tinfoil hat? What this means is that 10% of the EMF penetration is hard to avoid. But you have cut the beast by 90%. This is enough to heal. So just because you can still get a signal on your phone in an EMF sleep sanctuary does not mean that it is all a scam. Reducing the signal is essential. Use at minimum a tri-field meter to test for EMFs. E-smog or EMF reducing clothing can be a great way to protect yourself. You can find pajamas, undergarments, bras, belly wraps for pregnancy, and underwear to protect the ovaries for women, and for increased virility and sperm count for men. Remember that the genitals and the breasts have the least protection as they are outside the body. The big killers, prostate and breast cancer, are on topic here. Soy-fed animals and the resulting soy-enhanced cholesterol molecule plays a part here too. EMF-blocking hats and even scarves which, to all outer appearances, look like perfectly normal attire may be worn. An integrated way to protect yourself. According to Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt, the exponential increase in Lyme disease that we see today may be correlated with EMF pollution boundaries. These EMF waves that we bathe in daily from cell phones, computers, and electricity weaken the body, allowing for many parasitical forms of bacteria to increase their presence. Some scientists even believe that Lyme disease is a modern epidemic affecting more of the population than we think, albeit with less intensity than those who actually have been bitten by ticks, mosquitoes, spiders, or even fleas. Dr. Klinghardt sees the tick bite focus as only the tip of the iceberg, like a low-grade chronic version of Lyme affecting a much greater number. I personally could not figure out why a spider bite took so long to heal upon my arrival in the USA after 15 years in France. I have found that the EMF waves were playing a key role here in modifying the efficiency of my internal bacterial cleanup crew, as was chlorine. Once I began protecting myself, recuperation in all areas improved rapidly. Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt has also made a strong connection between autism and the prenatal EMF pollution of the mother. If you have smart meters, digital mains, power, water, or gas meters, you can contact your power company and opt out for a small fee. The power companies will probably install a meter which is much better on RF waves, which is only pingable, not dually transmissive. Although better, this will not resolve the dirty electricity problem associated with smart meters due to the SMPS step-down AC to DC converter built into the meter. The fee has been waived now in some eastern states, and it costs $75 to opt out in California. The fact that you can even opt out reveals that there is a real danger to health. They know that it is a risk legally for them to semi-force this on us. A second option, you can buy smart meter guards even if you do not own the home. Smart meter guards are grill-textured stainless steel covers that fit onto the smart meters and block 90% of the RF signal coming from these dangerous installations. Legally, it is your right to protect yourself from this. The grill of the smart meter guard attaches to the metallic mains electric box, grounding the signal. This cancels out the signal coming from the back and the front of the smart meter, but 10 to 15% still gets through, so they are operational for sending data. Smart meter guards cost around $60. A third more in-depth solution that worked for me, in addition to the grounded bed canopy, was to tack foil-like gold sheets to the wall where there were 11 smart meters. I then added another ripstop absorbing layer of material to absorb and deflect the small percentage that made it through the first layer. I then covered the wall with the white sheet for temporary style, as it was only a 1-year lease. If it was my own place, I may have opted for 3 layers of EMF reduction paint, which can be grounded with one small wire or special tape. Without grounding, the reflective minerals can act as an electric antenna, which concentrates unwanted signals and electricity. The absorbing material, in conjunction with the reflective material, allows for the setup to absorb some of what would have reflected back onto our neighbors. It diffuses the radiation into heat. These nickel ripstop layers can be found online. A simple digital meter would not be problematic, but smart meters push insanely strong staccato signals into the environment. They disrupt deep sleep over time and thus recovery time, which is a big deal for robust health. These meters also invade one's privacy with signature electronic readouts, which can be interpreted as behavioral data and can be used for green policing controls, etc. And also sold to third-party interests. And to boot, they are even known to hike electricity prices. Smart meters also create dirty electricity in strong magnetic waves. Dirty electricity creates high-frequency radiation, which one could say outgasses from the walls, wires, and circuitry. These HF harmonics can be filtered out using 10 to 20 Stetzerizer plugs placed in electrical sockets throughout the house, $500. Some houses with bad wiring may need to be inspected, fixed, adapted to by rearranging living spaces, or one may have to move out, as this can also be a factor in magnetic field dispersion. Magnetic fields are also produced by smart meters, even with the mains turned off. Magnets, pipes, by smart meters, even with the mains turned off, magnets, pipes, and electricity, and they are hard to diminish by more than 50% using shielding materials, so it is best to know where they are and set up your place accordingly. Proper 110 volt wiring only gives off magnetic waves within 4 inches of the source, so this is an avoidable reality for most homes. One user mentioned stacking cases of water bottles for protection from EMF waves, and I can attest that this can work in a pinch, as the waves must penetrate water, which reduces the signal. I learned this because for my business, I stored glass bottles of magnesium oil and happened to check the testing meter. However, a more permanent solution or a move-out is needed long-term. One can also send a letter to the power company to which they will likely not respond, which can be a legal standing default on which to proceed if professionally replacing the smart meter with a true electromechanical or true analog meter. Film this and record all numbers. What did it say? Film this installation and record all numbers and readings so the power company cannot claim you are stealing electricity. Remember, smart meters emit the RF transmission staccato signals, but also the SMPS dirty electricity at the mains. Each needs a different approach, as explained above. Opt-outs will not resolve both problems. More must be done. More class action lawsuits are happening around the country if this exact battle is for you. In Germany, people use the axe trick, which is to they actually smash the smart meter with an axe and then call the power company and tell them someone broke their smart meter. And they do it 2 or 3 times, and by the 3rd time, they just replace it with an analog meter because it becomes too costly for them to do otherwise, and they can't prove who smashed it, or, I don't know if they don't have as many cameras, maybe, I don't know, but, so, although I'm not recommending smashing a smart meter with an axe because of the electrical current, and, there's a lot going on there. But it is true that the front part, maybe they do have an axe trick that works. They're able to just smash the front and then call the other. I don't know. Anyway, I guess if you're in a place where you don't have much of a choice and there is no opt out and there is no way out, well, then they've found that way out. So whatever, more power to you. I guess it's like you could say it's a little bit vigilante. I would prefer to hire an electrician to replace it with an analog meter and record everything. But there may be places in Europe where none of that is allowed. So I get it. It's they're in error. They're the vigilante in that situation. So that's what you have to remember. And I'm sure you could say, well, every vigilante could say that. But in certain situations, legally, the easement laws that allow them to set these things up, they are violating not only private property, but they're violating those easement contracts and laws through putting something which is stealing your privacy, reading electronic signatures, knowing when you're home, sending that data off, then the staccato signals, electromagnetic frequency. There's so many ways in which they're breaking the pact between you and them. So in that situation, they are the vigilante, and you're correcting the problem as a private citizen. So that's okay. And, there is probably going to need to be a lot more of this right on the line between, it's kind of like Gandhi did with the law. Like, he knew that you could use the law, but he also knew there was unjust laws. And so he would fight those laws, and he would do it within the confines of nonviolence, but he was able to oppose those laws, just like during pregnancy, there's certain shots and things that the state demands, that's legally demanded that you take, because if you get these certain genetic diseases, your child, then the state has to take on certain percentages of care, disability care, and things like that. So you could say technically they have a right to kind of somewhat try to force that on you. But the difference is where your rights start, and so people can also refuse that legally. So they have a legal right to try to push it, but you can legally refuse it. So that's what you have to learn, is you have to get smart with the law and not fold with edicts and decrees and every other thing that could come along that makes everyone do everything. Like right now we have to wear a mask, but maybe we'll have to wear goggles and then maybe some ear muffs, and we just keep going with it. And people, so there's a point at which people have to break with the pack. And as it says in the American Constitution, reform their whole government. If it's not working, if that system is not working, the people may completely disintegrate it and build another one, or do what needs to be done to take care of that. So you could say, well, that sounds pretty lawless, but that's in the Constitution, that it's for the people and by the people. So if it's not serving the people, then the people can reformulate it or do a redo or rebuild it or destroy it and rebuild it, whatever has to be done to get things right. So let's continue reading here. One other important yet overlooked factor is electrical arcing of magnetic waves. Usually these waves are detected on the floor, but not always, and can be linked in many cases to the grounding of the water pipe underground system. Measuring these can be a challenge, as powering on or off certain circuits can increase or decrease the wave detection. Usually these waves can be detected even if the entire mains line, active line, has been turned off, and as the neutral line is still connected from the street. Even a neighbor's power usage can increase or decrease the magnetic waves, as they share your network, as a certain number of neighboring homes share the same transformer. These homes and their respective smart meters also share their dirty electricity, unless you have put in place the strategy listed above, Stetzerizer plugs. A professional plumber can install for $350 an insulated or dielectric coupling which will stop the grounding signal from going underneath your house by splitting the pipe and inserting the coupling. This method will keep the house within ordinance by having the water pipes grounded on the entry side, yet will stop the grounding from going under the house. Find a trained electrician, licensed contractor, or plumber to advise you here. Installing grounding rods for additional grounding capacity will probably be necessary. The city government may be able to fix this headache-causing magnetic wave to avoid liability. However, I doubt they will. Once the magnetic waves are back down to no more than 2.0 mg on the milligauss on the standard electric meter reading, then you can install your Stetzerizer filters for the dirty electricity. To install these prior to fixing the bad wiring or high magnetic waves is fine in the majority of cases, but can be counterproductive for some cases, and for a certain, albeit small number of cases, it can be problematic. For certain situations of possible ionizing radiation and gamma rays, not EMFs, a $50 1/24" lead sheet can be useful to shield the angle of the radiation where the body lies. If you ever walk into a sci-fi movie and get shot with a radioactive particle beam, try a true lead thyroid collar, a lead head cap, and protective lead gonad cover with straps. For X-ray rooms, these solutions are seamlessly integrated in the walls through lead-laced sheetrock or lead-covered plywood panels. Many possibilities. However, smart meter, EMF, 5G, and Wi-Fi setups will not involve lead at all, as it is not effective for EMF waves or even magnetic waves, but may have a value in the future for yet-to-be-seen invasive technologies. As for sound, infrasound can be low or high frequency, and it may be barely audible. Infrared pollution or ultrasound coming from the horrific, sleep-destroying wind turbines, cell towers, or other electrical combinations or appliances are now commonplace. The only solution is greater distance, as wax earplugs coupled with shooting range style heavy-duty earmuffs will not suffice in most situations. If the signals are weak, it may be possible to mask them with household air conditioning or air purifier fan noise. For investigation, if you need to detect and trace the origins of these sounds, use foam earplugs and press them into the ear and hold. Once the ambient sounds are muffled, these sneaky sounds can be heard more clearly. For more in-depth electrical protection, hire a professional to come out and test your home. They may recommend installing a usage-only triggered power circuit onto your main power so that electricity is only used when called on, to reduce making your home into an electrical cage. They may also help with purely magnetic low frequencies, which we have not covered in depth here, as it is a more complex and somewhat less urgent subject, once the larger obstacles listed above have been removed. Magnetic lines cannot be reflected back, but must be channeled into alternate pathways, going around us, using certain materials. And 50% shielding is about the best one can hope for, accepting just straight avoidance. One example would be a picture frame with magnetic shielding material which covers the circuit breaker, forcing its magnetic waves to curve away from the center. Concerning cell towers, look up your address on antennasearch.com and shield the full wall or full walls which are in line of fire from any cell towers found within 0.28 miles. If they are closer, you may need to move out or install a professional installation using 3 coats of specially founded EMF reduction paint, EMF curtains, ripstop wallpaper, not needed if paint has multiple layers, and magnetic shielding plates which can then be painted over and thus hidden. Buy a tri-field EMF meter and at least secure your sleeping area. The ground floor, close to the floor, is less affected by RF waves, but not always well enough for safety. Nor does that mean the ground is safe from magnetic waves. On the tri-field meter, below 1 or maybe 2 for magnetic frequency, below 10 for electric frequency, and below 0.100 for radio frequency is ideal. However, as with air particle detectors, better than to trust what they say is healthy, aim for near zero when possible. People within 0.28 miles of the signal have a much greater chance of multiple types of cancer, according to 2 studies, including one major study from Israel, coupled with the progressive destruction of their deep sleep over 1 to 8 years. Deep sleep and overall sleep destruction destroys dreams and beauty sleep too. Only safe sleep and safe napping using EMF blocking canopy or sheets, pajamas, and nightcap, for example, or total avoidance can slow the destruction. There you go. As for the inner level of healing from electromagnetic frequencies, we recommend the transdermal magnesium, topical magnesium from Zechstein inside at our website, theheartoftradition.com. We're the only brand using glass. We're also certified from the Zechstein at the origin. Most brands use the word Zechstein abusively, ancient, Permian, all these labels. And they're getting their stuff from Asia, which is solvent extracted, and it's chemically treated. So it's not the same molecular compound at all. It does not work the same. It's just generic magnesium chloride. We have a natural state magnesium chloride, which is a treasure of nature, which is hard to find, but in abundance where it was found underneath Holland. So there's 1,000 years of this stuff, but you have to get the right stuff if you want the right chelation, uptake, bonding, and the ability to pull all these heavy metals and endocrine disruptors out of the body and eliminate them through the sweat glands as magnesium is eliminated through the sweat glands. So it's one of the emunctories. But so come check us out at theheartoftradition.com for that inner part, and then work on this outer stuff as well, and continue with the book and find out more about healing this inner pollution. All right. Thanks. Heartoftradition.com. Remember, it's only $3 a week for the right stuff. Come check us out.